you found that video quite effective. It was just to show how tension can be created in film. We're going to look how tension's created in our writing today. Firstly though, I want to say I hope you've all had a great Easter and a safe and enjoyable one, eaten lots of chocolate, and now you're about ready to continue writing your story. So now they're in a new term, I'm going to set a new starter game. This is a countdown game. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but the aim of the game is you're going to get given a mixture of consonants and vowels in these blue boxes here, and then you have 30 seconds to try and make the longest letter word you can. I'm going to fill the boxes now with some random vowels and consonants, then we'll have 30 seconds. Make sure you've got something to write on, notepad and pencil, ready to do this. Here we go. 30 seconds starts now. I'll have a go too. Oh, 30 seconds is done. So we can see here the longest word we could have made is barcode, which is a 7-letter word. Well done if you got that at home. The longest word I got was beard, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. So you might have got equal to me or you may have beaten me. Okay, we're on to our second countdown problem of the day. Let me fill this. Let's get ready to play this together. 30 seconds, off we go. Now this is a tricky one. I'm really going to need to check the answers for this one. Well, we can see here the best word was bonanza. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A 7-letter word again. I'll be honest with you, I didn't do very well there. Ban was my best word, so only 3 letters. I'm sure you've beaten me. So in today's lesson, we're going to look at creating tension and suspense within our story and how we can achieve this. Firstly, we need to define what tension is. Tension is something that writers use to create a problem in their stories. Tension means feeling worry, fear, nerves, or pressure. You can also create tension between characters if they argue. Suspense is something used in stories to make them mysterious or scary. Suspense means waiting for something to happen or being uncertain about what will happen. As I said, we're going to look at how to create tension and suspense in our writing today. This is an extract from a story called The Curse of Cogston House, but this section of the story, most of the tension and suspense has been removed. This is the extract from it. Alice couldn't move and she was scared. Then, a man started to walk down the stairs towards her. This isn't very scary because we know exactly who is coming down the stairs straight away. The descriptions are not detailed, so although we know that Alice is scared, we don't feel scared along with her. We need to look at how to make the audience scared or tense when reading our work. Here's a longer extract from the story. I'll read it to you. Nothing moved. Cogston House was as silent as the grave. Perhaps the only thing worse than hearing her best friend desperately calling her name was being alone in this endless quiet. Alice's eyes searched through the darkness, scouring the corridor which faded into more murky gloom. She could make out the hallway right in front of her, the door opposite, and beyond it, the enormous winding staircase. As she looked, blinking through the tears which had begun to stream hopelessly down her face, she was met with a sight at the top of the staircase which all but turned her to stone. Something was moving. Alice watched numbly. Her heart was in her mouth, and her breath came in sharp, rattling gasps. Descending the stairs one careful, agonizing, creaking step at a time, a hunched silhouette shuffled out from the darkness. We're going to look at the ways in which the author here has created tension and suspense so you can replicate it in your own writing. Even though not much is happening to Alice throughout these paragraph chunks, there's a lot of descriptive detail about the surroundings. All of this writing means that the reader can clearly picture what Alice is experiencing, and they have to wait a long time to find out what happens to her. Remember, we've looked before at setting descriptions about how we can detail the surroundings, so that would be a good place to start if you haven't already looked at this lesson. So you can see in blue I've highlighted the things that help us describe the surroundings. Silent as a grave, endless quiet, darkness, murky gloom. It describes the hallway right in front of her, the door opposite, and beyond it an enormous winding staircase. It's giving a really clear picture in our head of what the surroundings are. This is a good start for creating tension and suspense, as without this the reader won't be able to feel what our main character is feeling. The text also uses short, sharp sentences to shock the reader. In these short sentences, giving the reader no details at all is scary, a bit like being in the dark. So you can see something was moving. Those short sentences on their own are really effective because they make the reader think about what's happening without you giving any clear answers at this point. It creates a lot of tension using short sentences like this. There's also a special bit of punctuation you can use when creating suspense. I've circled it at the end of the paragraphs here, but these three dots together are called ellipses. Ellipses show that something is coming next, or sometimes that the end of the sentence is missing. It creates tension because it's making the reader want to know what's going to happen next. They're in suspense because you've left them with a tense situation and they really want to know what's going to happen. So this is a mistake I see people make fairly often, but people will write Alice was scared, and this doesn't translate well to the reader. They don't feel scared because they don't understand the emotion beyond that plain simple word. So instead of writing Alice was scared, the author instead shows us what Alice's body is doing. We can see in blue again, the tears which have begun to stream hopelessly down her face. She's been metaphorically turned to stone, so she's frozen in place. She feels numb. Her heart was in her mouth, and her breath came in short, rattling gasps. These are far more effective descriptions and will convey to your reader that the character feels scared without you just having to plainly state it. This makes your writing far more exciting and far more engaging for a reader. Much like our setting descriptions, to build tension and suspense, descriptions should appeal to the reader's senses. So we've done the 5 senses before: sight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste. Again, I've highlighted in blue. The silence that can be heard, she's seeing the darkness and the murky gloom. Description again of the objects that can be seen. She can feel the tears on her face. Her breath is coming in short rattling gasps that you can hear. The creaking can be heard. She can see the hunched silhouette. All of these things really build up the description and will appeal to the image that's being made in your reader's mind and will help make them feel tense. The describing words in the extract are also interesting and imaginative. So we're trying to use some more of those ambitious adjectives or verbs or adverbs to describe the situation that the character is in. I've highlighted these in blue again. I won't read them all out, but you can pause the video and have a look at them. You want to use the most ambitious adjectives, verbs, and adverbs you can because this paints a better picture in the reader's mind. It also makes your writing more interesting and makes it stand out. If you think you've used a basic word, you could use a thesaurus, either online or a physical thesaurus, to look for words that can improve your writing. Again, this is something you could do once you've written out the whole paragraph. You can go back and look through. I find that's when I realise I could use more ambitious words. But if you can think of them as you go through, by all means, please do use them. The author has also used a lot of imagery. Imagery means any description which works to conjure up an image in the reader's mind. I've highlighted 2 examples here. The first, as silent as the grave, is a simile. It's comparing the silence of the house to somewhere else that is silent. Similes are good at creating an image in a reader's mind. The other thing that you could use is a metaphor. The reader knows that Alice hasn't really turned to stone, but it shows she was too afraid to move. So by describing her as turned to stone, the reader gets a clear idea in their mind that she's frozen still in place, rather than you just using basic language like saying she stood still. This makes it more interesting and creates a really clear image in the reader's mind. Another thing you can use is onomatopoeia. These words help to immerse the reader in your story. These words make a sound like the noise they describe, so rattling, creaking, shuffled. These kind of onomatopoeic words will really help your reader to imagine the sounds they could hear if they were in that situation. Again, appealing to the senses that we've spoken about before. We've looked at a lot of features just now, so let's see if you can remember them all. Take a moment to pause the video and either say aloud or write down all of the features of writing with tension and suspense that you can remember. Then compare it to my list. I'll give you a moment to pause now. Okay, I assume that you've had a go at writing them down or saying them aloud. These are all the features you could use. A detailed description of the surroundings, clues to tantalise the reader, like a hunched silhouette. You're not telling the reader exactly who it is coming down the stairs, you're leaving a bit of mystery there. Short, shocking sentences, ellipsis, remember that punctuation, the 3 dots, physical reactions from the character, appeal to the reader's senses, exciting synonyms, so adjectives, adverbs, verbs, similes and metaphors, and onomatopoeia. Now that you've heard about all the features, it's time for you to have a go at writing a section yourself. Write a short paragraph or two, trying to build tension and suspense in your story. You can keep this list paused on screen while you do so to remind you, or go back to the various sections to have a look at how the other author used these in their writing. Then, once you've written, come back and we'll have a little go at self-assessing your work together. So we're having a little go at self-assessment now. Read your paragraph again and see if you think you've created tension or suspense within it. Now, I find the best way to check whether your writing creates an air of tension or suspense is to get someone else to read it. That way, you can see if they felt tension or suspense while reading your writing. If they didn't, you can ask them why, and then you can build on it. It's often good to get somebody else to read your work because it will help you to develop it. You can see what's effective and what isn't as effective and build on it. I hope you enjoyed writing your section, creating some tension and suspense. In the next session, we're going to look at the ending to our story. I hope you enjoyed learning how to create some tension and suspense in your writing. In the next session, we're going to look at the hardest part of writing a story, or at least I find it the hardest part, a story ending. Join me next time.